Oh, there you are, YouTube. Doodaloo 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 doo. Subscribe. Okay, so I just watched the mid-season finale of Walking Dead. This is season 11B, episode 16, and the episode is titled Acts of God. So we're not going to get another episode till, I don't know, maybe September, October. I don't think they've announced anything yet, but I don't know. I feel like this season was initially starting to feel a little bit too close to maybe when we were with the governor. I think that's where my mind has been. It's like we've kind of seen something like this before, you know, not just with the governor, but some other locations, and I just wasn't sure how to feel about it. But as it's progressed, it's definitely grown on me. And also, if you've heard me speak before on this show, um, I've mentioned how like Maggie's one of my least favorite characters, probably least favorite character, but something happened with this season, and maybe the previous season, or I don't know, before she left the show. But since she's come back, just been doing a lot of things that I kind of like, and was pretty great in this episode. Some of the more the earlier episodes from this season. So I feel like that's an improvement as well, because I've just never really cared much for her. But everything that's going on with the Commonwealth, again, was very much reminding me of earlier seasons. And it's still kind of doing that, but I'm just really liking this idea of expansion that is going on. They're trying to make the Commonwealth bigger and bigger, and they're doing it under the guise of, hey, come join us, you know, we'll help, we can offer protection, you know, we can trade goods and things like that. We're just all working together, you know. And then you find out that Hornsby is maybe not so not so kind. The front he's putting up is not one of, yeah, you can join with no negative consequences, right? So I like what we're seeing there. And then the way this episode ends, spoilers, where we see basically the Commonwealth taking over all of these different territories. He's taken over the Hilltop and Seaside as well. Speaking of Seaside and Alexandria, or Oceanside, what's his name? Fogler. The actor's name is Fogler. He plays Jacob in Fantastic Beasts. I can't remember his name on The Walking Dead right now. But he's at Oceanside, right? Isn't that where he's at? I mean, obviously he's filming Harry Potter movies, American Harry Potter movies. But like when they were lining up everybody at Oceanside at the end, shouldn't we have seen? Is it Dan Fogler? Dan Fogler? Should he be there? Did they just write him out of the show? Where's he at? I really liked his company. I want him back on the show. I think that would be great. But yeah, man, I'm hopping around, and I apologize. But the very end, when we see that coin being tossed at Oceanside, where it's clear if it lands heads, everybody's going down that lives there. If it's tails, you know, maybe they'll survive. I don't know, but that was an intense way to end the episode. And I don't know. I'm ready for what's next. But again, the idea of expansion and the way it's being treated as, you know, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We can help you. Maggie knew. I don't think so. It's never free. Doing this, joining the Commonwealth, will have negative consequences, but also not joining is going to have negative consequences. But they are fighting. They are fighting, and right now it looks like they've lost. If you go by where flags are planted, it looks like they've lost, but they are still out there, still alive, and I'm sure they are going to do everything they can to reclaim their areas, and maybe change the Commonwealth. I don't see them like taking over the Commonwealth, but through some sort of democratic republic process, alter the Commonwealth to be something good. And then what I would like to see after that, so I know we have, it seems like we have a Negan and Maggie show in the works which is cool, but at the same time, that takes away a little bit of the tension of how the season will end because we assume they will be alive at the end, right? Because we know of their future. And then I think we have the movies that are going to come out. I'm not watching Fear the Walking Dead. I'm not watching, is it called Beyond? I'm not watching that, but a spin-off show I'd like to pitch right now. Maybe somebody's already pitched it on the internet. Maybe I'm the first. I don't know. But I would like to see a show, a Walking Dead spin-off that takes place 25, 30 years into the future, following Judith, Herschel, Coco, Negan's kid. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then any of the other kids I'm not thinking of right now. Just seeing them as grown-ups, like hire new actors. Maybe Herschel can be recast with Glenn. That would be cool. Bring him back. And I don't know, maybe some of them have formed relationships. I don't know, maybe they see themselves as siblings. Who knows? Obviously, other people have come in to join them, but I just love the idea of seeing like a Judith, at maybe 40 years old or something like that. And same thing with Herschel, and then Coco's a little younger, and then Negan's kid obviously is going to be the youngest, maybe like 25 or 20 or however many years we want to take this into the future. And I just think that would be an interesting grouping to see this generation that we saw born then, now, the adults in the show. That's where I would like to see all of this go. I know I've completely gone fully off track of what the episode was. I don't know, is there anything else I wanted to note in the episode? But yeah, that's my pitch for a new spin-off show. One other thing I did want to mention, though, Leah kind of being hired as Leah being, well, you may know Leah from, have you ever seen The Lake House starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock? Well, that's how you know Leah. If you've been looking at Leah thinking, I think I know that person, go watch The Lake House again. You'll find her there. But Daryl's former romantic interest, right? And I just knew this is the only way she's going to go out, the only way they can take her out, somebody's going to take her out in this story, is if Daryl does it. He's the only one that can do it. It just makes sense because I just don't think she can be turned good. I mean, it just seemed like she was too far gone. She was hired by Hornsby to kill everybody, and it seemed like she was 100% ready to do it because her family was taken, right? Her family was killed. And I just knew, I was like, somewhere along the line in this episode, Daryl is going to take her out. And it did happen, and he handled it really well. I mean, he obviously was in the middle of, in the thick of it at that time, so he had to get moving, but he handled that really well. And I wasn't sure, if he would break down after having to do that, but Daryl's strong. He knows we need to get out of this situation. Let's keep moving. And maybe he'll have a moment afterwards, or maybe he just knew, like his separation from her happened earlier. It's not going to hurt him. He's there to save Maggie. Maggie is who he cares about, and needs to keep her safe in a moment especially like that. And it wasn't even a second thought for him. And I think that's kind of what it was. It wasn't a second thought, because after he did it, he seemed pretty unfazed. I think he was phased, but he wasn't breaking down. And I thought that was probably the best way it could have been handled, because breaking down, Hornsby's on his tail. It just didn't. It wouldn't make sense for him to break down and like, oh, this is so tough, because it kind of seemed like everything that they had ended earlier, So yeah, it was like their separation, that was clear. The relationship was severed. It was over. So I kind of like the way that was handled. But all in all, I still watch The Loving Dead. I still watch The Loving Dead. I still watch and love The Walking Dead. And I can't believe it's almost over. That is kind of wild to me. Been watching it since it started, and I haven't gotten into the spin-offs though. Should I do that? Are you watching the spin-offs? Do I need to get into those? That might be something I'll have to do retroactively, obviously, because I am excited for the Andrew Lincoln movies, if those are still going to happen. I want to see that, and if I need to know the spin-offs in order to know the movie, I want to know the spin-offs. So I just want to know, I guess, what did you think of Acts of God, that episode that we were talking about today? What do you think of my pitch for a spin-off with the kids as grown-ups, 30 years into the future, 25 years in the future, 20 years in the future? And also, do I need to be watching these spin-offs? Are you watching them? Do you enjoy them? I'm curious. So let me know in the comments below. And perhaps I'll see you tomorrow for more Peer Hangout.